to order Bedford Township Planning Commission regular meeting, July 8th, 2020, virtual. If you could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Garbutt, could you take the roll, please?
Ms. Tinevery?
Here.
Mr. Helm? Here. Mr. Fritz?
Present.
Mr. Mahoney?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Garvick's present. Mr. Anger?
Here. Thank you, Joe. Next, we have approval of the agenda. If there's nothing else that you would like to add to the agenda, Karen, I will entertain a motion at this time.
Move we approve the agenda for July 8th as presented.
Support. I have a motion from Nancy and support by Dennis. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next, we move on to the approval of the minutes of June 10th, 2020 meeting. I will entertain a motion this time for anybody that was here for that meeting.
I move we approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2020 meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Nancy and support by Pat. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next, we move on to public comment. This is for any of the publics that would like to speak that is not on the, agenda B, which is the public hearing. So if there's anybody that would like to speak at this time, we will wait a moment and let you call in.
That's
George, that number, the 0734, I believe is for the item 7B.
This is Scott.
Hey, Scott, we're not quite ready for you at this time. Do you mind holding on? And George, can you put him back in the lobby?
Yeah, I can hold. All right, I'll call back. All right.
Do we have? That looks like that is a number that's local that is calling in.
Hello, welcome to the Planning Commission meeting. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Okay, Gail Kane, 1056 West Temperance. Okay, I'm getting it. You guys are late behind, so I'm going to keep talking. I realized last night that this meeting was going to take place, and I don't know what the rest of your agenda is because it's not on the computer. So I'm trying to figure out here, is there another public comment time?
We have a public hearing, which is regarding the rezoning from R2A. That is our agenda B. Right now, we're just on the, for lack of letter term, the generic public comment.
Okay, because your agenda is not on a computer, so I have nothing in front of me that tells me what I could or could not possibly be speaking to. So if you're having a public hearing, this is a disservice to the public because
Gail?
the public doesn't know what's going on.
Gail, I apologize. This is Karen, and that would have been my fault. I can go ahead and read what is on the agenda.
Okay, well, my concern was I was for two things, and one was the mulch king issue, and you guys are aware that I took that on because I was supposedly the person causing the trouble, and I wasn't, but I took it on anyways, and I have concerns that he was, I mean, there never was this meeting that was promised, so things were done that I classify as behind closed doors and under the table to get him to clean things up so that he could avoid actually the consequences of not abiding by his planning rules and guidelines. I mean, he cut down all the trees, and he should have to replace those, and he should have to replace them with mature, fully grown trees, because that's what he cut down. And I believe he has gone to the township to ask for his second payment, and I think that payment should be denied. So last night, it kind of got poo-pooed at the township level by Mr. Peroni that, oh yeah, he's going to do all that he has to do. I'm not against a compost area. I am against the underhanded method of madness where he was put into business before he was supposed to have been because he was treated with special gloves. I called Perrysburg because Mr. Peroni has said that that's where he was at prior to, and there's no rules or guidelines. I got news for you. They've got rules and guidelines. Those people don't mess around with stuff. So that's one of my concerns is this mulch king. And then the same thing, if I don't know what the public hearing is, but I've got a concern. If the master plan calls for that to be open, I believe we are at a point where we need to probably try to keep some of that open. You know, so I just wanted to voice my opinion. I do know that we've got that particular builder. We've got the state rep lives there. We've got the township engineers that live in his buildings and stuff. So I just want to comment on that. And because I can't see that agenda, I don't know when I'm supposed to call and talk and et cetera.
Thank you, Gail. Jody, go ahead.
I just wanted to let her know that I did have all her documentation, so if she doesn't want to call back again for the public hearing comments, I do have that notated in these comments.
Thank you, Jody.
Okay, so that subdivision that he's wanting to put in, or the so-called luxury condos, that's what the public hearing is on?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
It's for the,
it's concerns that the public doesn't know about this, and you know, and you guys do a fantastic job by no means. Karen and Jody, you guys are soldiers over there for what you guys have to do and take care of. So I realize that it's probably just the situation, but anybody that may have wanted, I wouldn't have known about it if I hadn't watched the township meeting last night. So that's not really what I would call a qualified public hearing. So
Yes, Karen.
hopefully the neighbors all got their mail.
They did.
yeah,
So I will watch then, and that's going to come back up. Is that my understanding?
That is correct. But not.
Okay, and
the
there
plan.
is
This
no
what
other
was
public
on.
comment then at the end of your meeting?
Okay.
There is. There is.
Yes.
Oh, there is. Okay.
There is.
All right. Well, then I blabbed for a whole long time and not really sure I should have, but okay, I
That's
will.
okay. You can do it before or after. It doesn't matter when.
Okay, well, I'll sit tight and I'm gonna watch as long as I've tuned in and ate dinner early, so carry on, people. Keep up the good work.
Thank
Bye.
you, Gail.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Karen.
if I may, since it was not posted on the website, if I may, I'd like to identify those items that are on the agenda this evening for those that may have tried to obtain that information and it wasn't available.
Yes.
7A, which is the first item, is going to be for request for site plan approval for Ort Tool and Die, Milano and Associates LLC for a 10,000 square foot welding building addition and on the parcel number 5802-101-01000, otherwise known as 6555 South Dixie Highway, Erie, Michigan. There will be discussion and a decision made by the Planning Commission. The second item on the agenda is open the public hearing regarding the request from Kimlin Development to rezone from R2A Single Family Residential to RM2 Multiple Family Residential on parcel numbers 580210502300, otherwise known as 6508 Seaport Road, 580210502500, otherwise known as 6500 Seaport Road, and a vacant parcel 580210502600 located on the east side of Secor Road, south of Smith Road. That is a discussion and a recommendation to the Township Board. And those are the only two items on the agenda this evening.
Thank you, Karen. Yes, Joe?
And I just wanted to clarify that, yes, all the public hearing notices were mailed to everyone within 300 feet of the perimeter of each of the individual parcels for that public hearing. And it was posted at the Township Hall, and I do apologize that it was not posted on the website.
Thank you. Do we have someone in the lobby, looks like?
I believe that may be the,
Okay,
Yes.
so that's for A.
yes.
So is there, do we have anyone else for the public comment? Okay, with that, we will move on to new business, which is a request for final site plan approval for Ort Tool and Die for a 10,000 square foot welding building addition on parcel number 5802-101-01000, otherwise known as 6555 South Dixie Highway, Erie, Michigan, 4813. Karen, can you give us some background on this?
Yes, I will. The applicant is Romanco Building Company out of Sycamore, Ohio, with the owner again, Milano Associates LLC. The engineer is Colony and Colony of Toledo, Ohio, and the location again is 6555 South Dixie Highway. And the current zoning is I3 General Industrial. The owner is proposing a 10,000 square foot building addition to be attached to the north side of the existing 10,000 square foot welding shop building on a 23.5 acre parcel within Bedford Township and a portion of the property located in Erie Township. The provided 119 parking spaces meets the requirements of the ordinance, and a 14-foot stone drive is being proposed along the west side of the existing welding shop and to the north of the proposed addition. The Bedford Township Fire Department addressed the stone drive in their letter, stating they respectfully request the new stone drive increase to 20 feet in width, as it would safely accommodate an emergency vehicle if needed. At this time, no additional light or unloading area is being proposed. The fire department reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on June 17th, 2020. The Monroe County Drain Commission reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on June 18th, 2020. Manick and Smith Group reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on June 30th, 2020. And as there is no additional curb cuts, there is no review required from the Monroe County Road Commission. Should site plan approval be granted, a motion should include that the approval should be contingent upon addressing all conditions of the Bedford Township Fire Department, to include the increase to 20 feet in width on the proposed stone drive, the Monroe County Drain Commission letter of approval, and the Manick and Smith Group letter of approval.
Thank you, Karen. Yes.
Kevin Romanco's on the phone here.
Kevin, is your TV on? Or you won't have a TV. Kevin, is your YouTube turned on?
I've got YouTube turned on, but it's about a 30-second delay.
Okay.
It's
I
turned
thought I
off.
was hearing myself over and over.
Yeah.
We were getting feedback.
All right.
Well,
We have the applicant on the phone, is that correct?
The representative.
that's
A
correct.
representative for the applicant. Is there anything you'd like to add? Or I'm sorry, could you state your name and address for the record?
This is Kevin Romanco Building Company, 5543 Swan Road, Pemberville, Ohio.
Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to add to Karen's summary?
No, we're pretty much in agreement with what the summary is.
Very good. I will open up to the Planning Commission. Is there any questions or comments from the commission? Yes, Nancy?
Oops. I just wanted to be sure that the request from the fire department in terms of widening that drive that will be going in is that, has that been agreed upon? I mean, I'm just curious from the developer if that is something they're aware of and they plan on abiding by.
Yes, we are fully aware and we do plan on abiding by that.
Okay, thank you. And then on the Drain Commission letter, there was a note about a permit. Has that been obtained, or are you planning on following through with that as well?
Yes, that has already been taken care of. They
Okay.
asked for an additional 6 months, and we submitted payment for that to pay for the additional 6 months.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
I think it looks like a nice addition to a company that's looks to be doing well in the township. So I like the addition. Is there any other questions or comments at this time? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to grant final site plan approval for Ortool and Die for a 10,000 square foot welding building addition on parcel number 5802-101-1010-00, otherwise known as 6555 South Dixie Highway in Erie, Michigan, subject to compliance with the fire department letter. And I don't have a date on that. And Monroe County Drain Commission letter, as well as the Manic Smith group comments.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. I have
I'll second that.
and I have a second from Nancy. Mr. Garvick, could you take a roll call, please?
Joe, you're muted. Joe, you're muted.
Still muted.
How's that?
There you go.
That's better.
Good.
Mr. Mahoney,
Aye.
Mr. Fritz,
Yes.
Mr. Helm? Yes. Mr. Garvix, yes. Ms. Tinneberry?
Aye.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Anger?
Yes. Motion is approved. Next, we will move on to item B, which is an open to the public. Yes?
Thank you all very much.
Most likely,
Thank you.
it's
Thank you.
open to the public hearing comment, I would guess. It's our next item on the agenda, so no, it's all right. I was thinking the same thing. So item B is open to the public hearing regarding the request from Kimlin Development to rezone from R2A Single Family Residential to RM2 Multifamily Residential on parcel number 5802-105-02300, otherwise known as 6508 Secor Road, 5802-105-02500, otherwise known as 6500 Secor Road, and a vacant parcel 5802-105-02600 located on the east side of Secor Road, south of Smith Road. At this time, I will open the public hearing. And if there's anybody that would like to call in and speak on this item, I see we do have one in the lobby, which I'm might be for this, so we can check on that one. Hello, this is the Planning Commission for the public hearing. Are you here for the public hearing?
Yes,
Could you state your name and address for the record?
Terry Ford, 6507 Secor.
Thank you. You can go ahead whenever you're ready.
Yes, I'm against changing it. Secor here is a difficult area because the traffic does back up to the state line a lot of times. And there, then it could be up to 128 vehicles coming out of that place, which is causing a lot of trouble with the rest of the neighborhood. I can see housing, but I can't see apartments. It put a lot of stress on everybody that lives in this area. Apartments are not really established. They're constantly moving out, moving in. It means a lot more trouble with cars coming in, making deliveries. And it means more of an expense on me because I'm going to have to deal with this trying to get out of here.
I'm sorry, my screen blinked out. I'm not sure what the last part you said there was.
I'm saying that it makes more of a difficult. The individuals here, it puts a lot more stress and expense on us because if you put apartments in there, that means our property is actually worth less because of the, the vehicles coming in and out of here. Also, there's the vehicles coming out of there. Their lights and that will every night will be shining in the people's houses across the street.
I thank you for your comments. Is there anything else you would like to comment on?
That's basically it.
Thank you very much. Karen, I did forget to have you do the summary. Could you do a summary for us?
Yes. Again, the applicant is Rick Kimball, Kilman Development Company out of Lambertville. It is currently R2A zone, all three parcels, requesting a zoning of RM2 multiple family residential. The master plan does designate as residential and open or recreational and open space. The three existing parcels consist of 580210502300 has plus or minus 1 acre with 50.30 feet of frontage on Secor Road, an existing home. Parcel 2 of 5802105050 consists of approximately 2.5 acres having feet of frontage on Secor Road. It does also have an existing home. Parcel 3 has approximately 7.5 acres. It's a vacant parcel having approximately 250 feet of frontage on Secor Road. The site is served by municipal water and sanitary sewer, and the surrounding zonings are to the north R2A single family residential and PBO professional business office, and also including C1 local commercial. South R2A single family residential, which is Maple Grove Golf Course. East R2A single family residential and a planned unit development, which is Country Club Villa or Country Club Estates. West is R2A Single Family Residential, RT2 Family Residential, and PBO Professional Business Office. On July 7th, 2020, the Township Board gave direction to move forward with the rezoning request, and we did include an email in here regarding the resolution, which did take place last night, as was previously discussed. The request is for 3 separate parcels to be rezoned from R2A Single Family Residential to RME Multiple Family Residential. The applicant has advised the intent is to combine the 3 parcels and move forward to develop multiple family luxury apartments. The master plan adopted on October 28th, 2015 designates this area as suburban residential with recreational and open space, which provides for residential use while taking into account any open space and environmentally sensitive land, and is permitted in all districts. Master plan is included also for you to reference. The Planning Department requested a review of the rezoning requests be conducted by Lucy Fortin of the Manikin Smith Group, the planner for Bedford Township. Ms. Fortin prepared an overall review of the subject area and concluded the proposed zoning and is consistent with the goals, policies, and future land use map of the township's master plan. In conclusion, it was suggested the Planning Commission make a recommendation to the Township Board to approve the rezoning request for the following key reasons. It is consistent with the township's master plan goals and policies. It follows the master plan future land use. It provides for suitable transitional use between the local business land uses located at the intersection of Smith Road and Seco Road and the nearby single-family residential uses. It is supported by nearby utility infrastructure, and adequate room is afforded by the parcels to not only preserve the site's natural features, but also to alleviate some of the possible negative impacts of the potential higher density residential use with any lower intensity uses through screening and landscaping. Should a recommendation to approve the rezoning request be determined, the 2 parcels with existing homes would still be permitted as per section 400-601. RM1 and RM2 multiple family residential district states all permitted uses as regulated in an RT, which is a 2-family residential district, and then it also then states in RT that it allows for all uses permitted in a single family residential district, which means the single family homes would be able to remain on site even with the RM2 zoning until such time as they determine to develop, then the homes would be demoed. Ms. Fortin also in her, since there seems to be well, there is concern with the traffic, did comment on traffic in the area, and that there is also been discussions about widening that road at some point north from the state line north to the DDA district, which is at Stearns Road. So that was also part of her analysis that she prepared. As well, this afternoon, I did receive a letter from Mr. Ford that just spoke, so I'm not going his letter. He had an opportunity and he basically said everything that was in his letter that we received, but I did receive a letter that was asked to be read at this meeting. It is from Sandy Putman of 3101 Smith Road. Again, please read this at your meeting on July 8th. I'm against the rezoning request for the 3 parcels on Secor Road from single family to multiple family. On the master plan, it calls for recreation and open space. How does 64 apartments fit in that plan? The builder told me the rent would be $1,600 per month. When that doesn't happen and the rent goes down, will this turn into low rent, trailer park, and other type of atmosphere that would be as a trailer park? When we moved here, everyone had about an acre. Now there's 10 feet between houses. Don't we have enough apartments? How many more kids will add to the schools? Traffic is horrible now. This won't help. Please vote no. And again, that was from Sandy Potman of 3101 Smith Road.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, George?
And while waiting.
I missed what you said the first time.
I believe.
Somebody's speaking.
Sandy, this is Scott. I don't know if I can make a comment yet or not.
Scott is the applicant. I think Matt got stuck there for a minute.
Yep,
but,
I get stuck quite frequently. I'm sorry.
The
I think my
applicant is
internet
on the
is
line
slow
and would
tonight.
like to know if he can speak at this
Yeah.
time.
Yes. Sorry.
So I'm good to go here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, we've pretty much addressed most of these questions that everybody's asking. You know, number one, they're going to be a very upscale apartment. I'm the developer of the subdivision, Summerlin, catty corner from this. And, you know, we bought that property. That was supposed to be a Meyer. We come in there and bought that property, and we put a beautiful development in there. We enhanced the entire area there with what we've done. Now we want to do it again with these apartments. The only reason I'm doing this is I get a lot of people that come to my development, and they want to know if our villas are for rent, because a lot of the seniors that we sell to now don't want to buy, they want to rent. So, you know, after 2 years of people coming in and going, can I rent one of these? Can I rent one of these? So I put together a plan to build these luxury upscale apartments to capture the people that are looking for that. You know, these things are very nice. You know, we're going to have a pond in there with a fountain. You know, we're putting a lot of money into this development, and the rents are going to be the cost to build this thing. We've got to get that money of rents out of it. And, you know, the research that we've done on these, they work, and these are no different than the condos in country club villas. They're almost identical in site, the way they look and the way, you know, they're ranch style, single story, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car attached garages. So they're going to be very nice. And people are talking about the traffic problem. We're putting in 64 units. I believe there's 15,000 cars a day that drive through north and south on that intersection. 64 people moving in there are not going to impact that 14,000 cars that much. You know, I've paid to have 2 traffic studies done on that corner, because, you know, they were concerned about what our subdivision would do, and then they were concerned about rezoning the commercial lots on the corner. And the impact on that was very little from what we did before. Now, again, you know, I believe money was allocated or set aside to do this widening. And when COVID-19 hit, all bets are off the table until this clears up. So I got to believe that widening the 5-lane from the Ohio line to Stearns Road is going to happen. Secor Road has become a main feeder to Lambertville, and it's a busy intersection. However, you know, it's busy north from 4:30 to 5:30. Other than that, it's not that bad. And then it's busy south from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the morning. So it backs up a little bit, you know, north, but we won't impact that. The only problem I see is the 5 o'clock traffic. But, you know, I think 90% of my tenants are going to be seniors. And I just don't anticipate creating a lot of traffic in and out of that place. We're finding more and more that seniors want to rent instead of buy. And that's kind of our goal, and that's our targeted people that we want are the seniors. And we feel that that's what we're going to get, because that's kind of what's all around there. And that's our goal. So, you know, hopefully I'm answering some questions here that, you know, and I understand the concerns. Listen, I live in this town. I live in the subdivision across the street. I want to see nice things here too. I don't want 5-story apartments going in there. I don't want, and that could happen, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make this really nice, like I made Summerlin. So again, you know, I'm a member of this society here. I live here. You know, I drive through the intersection 10 times a day, and I want it beautiful. I want it as beautiful as anybody else in this town. And I've already, you can see what we've done already in Summerlin, and that's what we want to do over there. So that's all I got right now.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead and let them in. Hello, welcome to the Planning Commission. Would you like
Hi.
to speak on the public comment tonight?
Yes, even though I know that Jody's got my notes or whatever, I still wanted to comment.
If you could just state your name and address for the
My name is
record.
Gail Kane at 1056 West Temperance. I have concerns, and I've always been trying to be an eagle, but on these matters. But I'm a little bit busy in my life, so I've been lax. I'm happy to hear that they're only going to be ranch styles. I am concerned. There seems to be an attitude in this township that we need to just pack ourselves in rooftop to rooftop. And I know that what the master plan goal is, they want more kids. They want the schools tight. They want to say that we've got, 400 kids in a class. I understand that they want to have nice homes. The word nice is a perception that belongs to an individual. What one person might see as nice could very well be seen as something very ugly to another. We don't get to see sunrises in this community anymore. We don't get to see sunsets. All we see are rooftops. And I'm sure that this all got developed probably 8 years ago during a time frame when the planning department was being overseen by someone else other than the current board or whatever, that these plans are all suddenly now happening. I realized there was an easement last night. The meeting was so confusing that their easement had to be obtained. Mr. Montry asked why all this was happening back in December. The widening of the five lanes, why not let the developers pay for the negative impacts they bring into this community? That's been my goal for years, absolutely years. There's not going to be a widening of that 5 lanes, and 5 lanes does not necessarily decrease the amount of traffic. Most homes have at least 1 car to 2 cars, even the seniors, unless they're single. Then there's the visitors. Then there's the visiting nurses. Then there's family. Then there's grandkids. I'm happy to hear that it's not what went in at Stearns and Lewis, because I don't think that those are nice. I'm not real impressed with Summerlin. Sorry, Mr. Boland, but I'm not. I just am not. Too many things have changed here to be here damn near your whole life and see all of this, but I know that property owners have a right to develop their properties. I know that we have to designate a certain amount of properties for certain types, but we really do bear a responsibility to the surrounding communities for the impacts that we're making here. And I'm concerned, I want Karen to make sure to tell me that there's no special issues, no natural things that we have to be concerned with on this site. I don't live there, but I find the DDA district so disgusting. I don't go over that way at all. I avoid it at all cost. If I have to go through there, I take the longest route possible. To me, that it's just what's wrong with a little bit of open space. He's going to tear down individual homes. We've lost recently all of what was left of our beautiful oak openings, a very distinct, diverse habitat that in Ohio, they're handing these properties to the land conservationists and to the parks. And here, we destroy them. We whip down old things. Old is ugly. There's no wanting to keep our history. So I don't know. I'm opposed to it just because it's a small little piece of ground. And I just don't know why we have to develop every flippin' inch of this township. Sometimes it's just not worth it. And it bothers me that people cannot be proud enough of just saving something, just saving a little piece of it. So whatever, that's just my comment, and I appreciate you listening to me again. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Or Gail, sorry.
That's okay.
All right. George, do you know of any other Or Karen, did you, I know one of the things she mentioned was the, is there, I think she was alluding to like wetlands.
At this time, studies haven't been conducted because we're just looking to rezone the property.
Okay,
When the site plan is prepared and submitted, studies will be done at that time and review to determine if there are areas that cannot be developed. So we won't have that information at this point.
okay. Thank you, Karen. George, do you know of any other calls wanting to speak on the public comment? All right, with that, I will close the public hearing, and I will open it up for discussion for the planning commission. Mr. Holmes, you first. Looks like you're on mute, though.
You mean Mahoney?
Yes. Sorry. I cut off the picture, so I couldn't see your full name.
Was it Rick Kimball that presented a few minutes ago? Is he still on?
Scott Bowling.
All right, Scott, I have a couple questions. I wondered what other properties that you considered for such a development. And part two is, what about 6516 Secor Road? You know, you go from business, house, and then your development. And I just wondered if you had tried to purchase that property too.
No, this was the only piece that appealed to us.
So you haven't considered any other places to put this development because there's a demand for it?
I have not at this point. I just thought this was a great location for it. You know, when I first, got the idea, I actually went into Bedford Township and I threw my plans on the table and I said, what does everybody think? And, everybody thought it was a pretty good idea. They know what I do. They know we're going to do it right. And, it just was a great piece of property to do what we'd like to do there. And again, I just have so many people that want to rent. They don't want to purchase, especially in these crazy times we're in. We've already got people inquiring about these, and I just think it's a great location for it. It's a deep piece. We've only got a little bit of frontage. We're going to set back from the road a little bit. We're only 2 buildings on each side of the road, straight back. I got a water feature in the rear of the property. I'm going to put a pond with a fountain in it. I mean, I want this to look as beautiful as the Summerlin does.
So with having the pond and stuff, that is kind of like the open space that the master plan would like to see. Is that correct, Karen?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, Nancy? You're on mute.
I'm trying. My fingers don't work like they used to. Well, I will say personally, I do not agree that it is a fantastic location. I believe that Mr. Boland will produce a beautiful, wonderful development. However, what I believe and feel is not the question here. The question is whether, as a planning commission, we have reason to deny this rezoning, and my perception is we do not have reason to deny. It meets the master plan. It's the surrounding zoning is compatible. We as 7 members or even more members, the law does not permit us to zone out any classification of zoning. So whether or not there's going to be luxury apartments or apartments that other people think might draw in something less than luxury, we can't do that. We don't have the ability to zone out any kind of classification. The other most important thing is, if I didn't want this development, I should have bought the property. I didn't buy the property. Mr. Kimlin or Bolton or whoever bought the property they put money forward, they purchased the property, it meets the classification and the zoning. And so I don't believe that we really even have much of a choice here, because I don't believe in denying people their rights to do with their property what they choose. I do have a question though, of the applicant on the phone. The road commission at this point is not discussing 5-lane road there. Yes, there has been discussion, and yes, there were future thoughts and ideas. No plans were ever developed or decided upon, but the way the money is now in government, the Monroe County Road Commission has lost funding, Bedford Township has lost funding. So my question is the road commission requiring a deceleration lane, and how long would that be? How many yards, feet, whatever would that be? Do you know?
Nancy, we're not even at that point yet, because all we're here is today is a rezone. Then we'll do the design and everything. So we're not even close to that yet. And secondly, you know, this is a 2-year project, Nancy. So we're not going to be done for 2 years building these. So, you know, who knows where we'll be with the widening of the road in 2 years. So
True.
I can't answer
this is true.
that. Yeah.
This is
I
true.
would imagine they would want to. I would imagine they would want decel lanes. We had to put them in over at Summerlin. I'm quite sure they're going to want that.
Okay, you're right. I got ahead of myself there in terms of that, but you know, I'm not going to be on the board then, but I'm certainly going to push and press for 5 lanes there. We live in that area as well and drive through there, and I could agree with the gentleman that called in that it's maddening to have to be in such a long line. And you're right, it's only later on in the day when people are getting out of work, but so I don't see a reason for saying no.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Yes, Joe, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, I agree with Nancy there. It's, and it's always an issue when you live next to something, but, with what they're gonna do back in there, and I agree with, you know, it's zoned there, that was the master plan, and if somebody has a problem with that stuff, we really need to go, when we look at the master plan meetings, and, Mr. Kimmelman's owned that property forever, it was his dad's, and, it's something, but, I do like the deal that it is single family and the pond and everything else there, but as Scott says, you know, that'll be road commission, drain commission, this is just, to do what we need to do, and I think the zoning, the master plan is what I think dictates the way we should look at it. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Joe.
I got one question.
Yes, go ahead, Ron.
Scott, how many, what would be the maximum units of those, that would be on that property?
64 units.
Do you know yet? How many?
Yeah, 64 units. 64.
Okay. Okay. I had heard different ones, and I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
Yeah, no, 64.
I'd like to just comment too on one of the issues that they were brought up in the public comment about the traffic. I agree that traffic is bad there. I don't think though that the 64 units would be detrimental to the corner, as I think it's the population of Bedford Township. It's growing big, and you get a lot of people from Toledo coming to us now too, because we have some great restaurants in the area, and so that I think is more of the issue than what the 64 unit development would be. And I want the roads to be fixed too there, because I think they need to be, but I don't think it's a reason to deny this, like Nancy alluded to. Mr. Jenkins, it looks like your hand is up first.
Yeah. I know you can't put contingencies on rezoning requests, but Scott, have you talked to the Drain Commission and Road Commission at all? Because I remember when we approved Country Club Villas, when we approved Country Club Villas, they had to jump through hoops to get their drainage approved.
Yeah, the first person I met with was David Thompson. And David Thompson said that if you can drain into the Allen Platte ditch, I got no problem with this, and this is where I want you to drain. In order for me to do that, I had to get an easement from Country Club Villas. Country Club Villas granted us that easement. So our draining issue is null and void. I've not met with the road commission because I just don't think that, I wasn't ready to meet with them, and I don't think we impact that road that much. And especially, I've had a lot of meetings at the road commission with Jason Shepard, and I know that the plan is to widen that eventually. When is that going to be? I don't know. I know it's been talked about for years and years, but you guys know as well as anybody that road has got to be widened. It's a main feeder now. Lewis Avenue is not the main feeder. Secor Road is, and something's going to have to be done with all the development that's going north of me, with Tractor Supply and all that stuff up in Secor and Stearns, and who knows what else is going up there. That road is going to have to be widened someday, and hopefully it's widened, during the construction of my project. And the traffic issue is over then. But I really don't think we're going to impact that with 64 units. I mean, we put almost 200 in Summerlin, and the impact there wasn't that bad. So, this is, 14,000 cars a day or 15 driving through there. 64 units isn't going to, I don't think it's going to affect it that much, Dennis. So, but I will. I mean, that's our next meeting, is to go to the road commission. So.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Mahoney.
I agree with Joe. Maybe we should review the master plan, and just because things fit into the master plan doesn't necessarily mean that we should be doing them. And if that's what it means, then we really need to redefine some terms and whatnot. But it just seems like we are jamming as much as we can up Secor Road, and then that road is not ready for it, when there's a whole nother 5-lane road over on Lewis, but nobody wants to build over there. And, we're supposed to be planning and thinking about the future, and it doesn't seem like we are. We're just kind of going with the flow and rubber stamping stuff just because, it abides by the master plan. And so the master plan maybe should be reviewed. It's hard for me to get on board with this. It doesn't seem like it benefits the community to load up Secor Road even more, and the lights pollution that neighbors are going to have to deal with, and all the noises that come with it. So anyway.
Is there any other questions or comments? And once again, this is a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, whether or not to allow or not allow the rezoning. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for the recommendation, one way or the other. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion? I will make a motion if no one else is willing. Let me get back to the beginning here. I'd like to make a motion to allow the parcel 58021050230001, 580210502500, and 580210502600 to recommend to the Board of Trustees to change the zoning from R2A to RM2 multifamily residential, with reasons for it does the master plan in conjunction with the Lucy Fortner review. It consists with the township master plans and goals and policies, follows a master plan future land use. It provides for suitable transition use between the local businesses, land use located at the intersection of Smith and Secor and nearby single-family residential uses. It is supported by nearby utility infrastructure, and adequate room is afforded by the parcels to not only preserve the site's natural features, but also to alleviate some of the possible negative impacts of the potential higher density residential uses with any lower intensity uses throughout screening and landscaping.
I second it.
I have a motion by me and Mr. Fritz second. Mr. Garvick, can you take a roll?
Yes, Mr. Jenkins,
No.
Mr. Mahoney,
No.
Mr. Helm,
Yes.
Ms. Tinneberry,
Yes,
Mr. Garvick, yes. Mr. Fritz
Yes.
and Mr. Engler.
Yes. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we will move on to, get to the top again. Next is section 8, public comment. This is for anybody that would like to speak on anything tonight or just a comment in general. We'll wait a moment while we see if anyone would like to call in since there is a lag. Karen, while we're waiting to see if anybody, is there anything that you would like to give us information on, Wise?
Yes, what we will do is prepare this information for the township board. They will be meeting again on the 21st of this month, so we will try to get everything on for that meeting. We have to have everything ready by the 15th in order to get it on that agenda, so we plan on putting it on the 21st.
Thank you, Karen. It looks like we have someone in the lobby. Hello, you're on the Planning Commission. Can you state your name and address for the record?
Gail Kane back, 1056 West Temperance. As long as I've been watching, I want to make a comment regarding Ort Tool and Die. I want to give kudos to those people over there. They actively support and sponsor the Adopt a Road program that I work as a liaison with the Road Commission for. The people that work there have adopted and sponsored the Lavoie Road section for the Adopt a Road program. So it is a very notable company, and it's too bad we don't have more of that kind, but I'm happy to see they're going to be getting more help because that'll help them with their Adopt a Road program. That's all I have to say. Thanks for your work, guys. I appreciate y'all. Have a good night.
You too. Is there anything else? No other calls, George? Thank you. Is there anything else that you wanted to mention, Karen?
No, that's the only thing is that we will be preparing that. Our next meeting is the 22nd of July. We don't have anything positively scheduled for that date at this time, but we may have some items ready. The only other thing that I would mention is that we did hand out the agricultural Ag 2 district that we would like you to review. We'd like to get that on for discussion. And if you have any comments, I did receive some comments from Mr. Mahoney before we sent it to the Planning Commission just for review. And we will get those answers for him. And then anything else, we'd like to have an opportunity to review what your questions are and get some answers for you prior to discussing it. So that would be the only thing. I don't know if Nancy had anything else that she wanted to talk about the capital improvement plan or not this evening.
Nancy?
I do. I didn't know if you were ready for that. I did send out a draft of what has been done so far in the capital improvement plan. More can be done. I included the verbiage that was recommended from the seminar I went to and what I've read on MTA. And I talked to a gentleman in Ypsilanti that works on the helping people with capital improvement plans. And so I think I included all of the important documentation. There are some capital improvement plans that are 25 to 50 pages. I do not believe that's necessary. I believe that the plan should exist to define what it's for and who manages it and those types of things. But beyond that, I don't think it needs a lot of verbose language. I'm a simple kind of writer person. Last night at our board meeting, the township board approved, and Dennis, you were right when we talked today, the township board approved the funding mechanism, which is a township improvement revolving fund that will be added to our budgeting process. Each year, the township board will add money to that fund based on what the budget will be able to manage. But the planning commission will be the group that oversees the capital improvement plan and can suggest the amount of money to the board that they feel should be added every year. Until you build up the amount of money you need for whatever capital improvement project the planning commission recommends, you can't go forward with the project. So this funding mechanism has to grow some funds before we begin to use it. However, the planning commission needs to recommend and adopt a capital improvement plan to submit to the township board. So the funding mechanism is now in place, so we can move forward with it, but I would like your comments, if you would respond to the email with things you'd like to see added. I do realize that the project list is not complete, but I'm not an engineer and I'm not a person that is able to determine all the capital assets that we have. The fire department has their own capital improvement fund or plan with regard to their trucks and the aging of those and setting money aside. So their things are not included, but all of our other buildings and equipment and capital assets should be included on our plan. So if you have suggestions, please email them to me. I am not a person that is offended by any correction or any addition. It's not my plan. It will be our plan. I'm just the person who's trying to move it forward and get it completed before I'm gone. So just wanted you to know that. If you didn't get the copy for some reason, send me an email and I will resend it to you.
Nancy, are you looking for more assets that maybe aren't listed, or the verbiage of what do you, or both, or?
If anyone thinks that there's other verbiage that needs to be included, I'm all for that. I will add anything that anyone wants. And certainly if there's things you think we should take off or things you think we should add, whatever, any kind of adjustments, I'd like to have a rough draft brought to the planning commission at some point. It may not be our next meeting, but at some point, either a special meeting for the planning commission or at a meeting so that we can discuss it. I'll make whatever changes then are decided upon by the whole board, by the whole planning commission, and then we will at a meeting adopt it and send it on to the township board.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Is there any other staff comment tonight or commission?
Yeah, Karen, what's the mandated review date of the master plan? Next year?
It's actually this year.
Oh, it is this year.
It is this year, but given the situation with the budgets that we have to work with. We may have to, we may not be able to do a full review. We do still have to present it to the planning commission and have them take a look at it. But we know there are some areas that we would like to take further review of and take a further look into it and think that there may be some changes, but I don't know if the budget's going to allow us to do that detailed review this year.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I got a question.
Yes, Joe.
Maybe Karen and Dennis can do this. With this master plan, when we look at that, is there, when we do an area, is it just make the whole area in that area commercial? Or can there be something put in when it's small parcels? Because like what Nancy was saying, you know, you get it. So I guess my question is, if it's an area there, let's say Secor and Smith, does that all fall under that? Even with those, like on Smith across from Summerlin, those houses, if somebody wanted to buy land up, they can just tear them houses down and do it, or just not really sure on when you do an area, is it so many from the intersection so far each way and it falls under it?
No,
Do I answer that since we're part of the master plan? You can go ahead and answer that.
you're looking at general areas, you're not looking at specific parcels.
Okay,
So you're looking at what is existing and what could be. But master plan doesn't rezone anything, it's just a recommendation. That answer your question?
yeah, thanks, Dennis, I appreciate it.
If there's no other comment, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Meeting adjourned.